Listen, Fume is an innovative, award-winning flavored air device. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses delicious flavors. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial and is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting.
Fume sent us the products. Sometimes during the podcast, I'm over here playing with it. Like the magnet part, I don't know what about it. It is a finger fun fidget thing to do. Join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack today. Head to tryfume.com and use code Rivalry to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com and use code Rivalry to save an additional 10% off your order today. Head to tryfume.com/rivalry and use code Rivalry to save an additional 10% off your order today.
Hey guys, again, Bobby Drag Queen. I'm going to be in Atlanta at the Atlanta Symphony on December 30th, the eve of New Year's Eve. Please spend your time with me. You can go to seethedragqueen.com to hear some hilarious jokes. And maybe I'll wear like a festive Christmas outfit.
And guys, you can catch me in Orlando and Tampa. I'm going to be at the Orlando Improv on December 6th and the Tampa Improv on December 7th. So if you in Florida, come see your girl Monet Exchange, because I'm retiring these jokes, y'all. This year, this is the last time you can hear these motherfucking jokes. So come see me do these jokes in Orlando and Tampa. And y'all, Sibling Rivalry Live is coming to San Francisco at the Castro Theater on January 5th. Now, I know we have had, we swear, this is the final date. We will be in San Francisco on January 5th for Sibling Rivalry Live. So snatch up these last tickets and sell us the fuck out.
We are so lucky to have on the Sibling Rivalry podcast today the San Francisco icon. She is the one and only Miss Peaches Christ.
Hello. Thanks for having me. It's a thrill to be here.
You're all dolled up. What are you all dolled up for?
For you, because, I thought I owed it to you to come in full geesh to be on the Sibling Rivalry podcast. I've been waiting for years and years to be on this show. But the actual truth is I have to do some videos after this to promote some shows.
Well, you remember you and I did a Patreon exclusive years ago. It might have been during the pandemic. You and I did like a Patreon exclusive audio only podcast.
Yes.
So if those of you who are true Sibling Rivalry fans, you can go back into the deep annals of Sibling Rivalry and get an audio only version of the podcast between me and Peaches. For those of you who don't know, Peaches Christ is I'm gonna go ahead and say the most. You are. I would say. I say you're the San Francisco drag queen. I say
now
that.
Heklina died.
Oh my God, Jesus!
I mean, it's not really a question anymore.
So for those of you who don't know, there was a moment where you could make an argument that the San Francisco drag queen was Heklina. Heklina did meet her untimely demise. She was besties with Peaches Christ for years. Very much Jinx and Dela, Heidi and Jada, Bob and Monet, Peaches and Heklina. And how long were you two like professional buddies?
Well, I moved to San Francisco and met her immediately, and we started working together. So that was in 1996.
Wow. Oh.
So that's a long time.
And you're from Pennsylvania, right?
No, I grew up in Maryland. I went to school in Pennsylvania.
That's right. University of Pennsylvania, right?
No, that's
Penn State.
That's where the smart people go. I went to Penn State University.
Isn't Penn State a really smart college too? I went to Columbus State University. I can't talk shit about nobody's school. I didn't even finish.
I mean, it's not. It's so University of Pennsylvania is like Ivy League, and Penn State University is considered a very good state school.
And that's like where all the football players are. But there was like a whole thing with the.
Yes.
There was like a whole thing.
Yep. That's right.
With the coach and the players, right? Like something weird.
There was some molestation.
Yeah, Penn State got to get their shit together, honey. Ever since you
Yeah,
left, it's been downhill. Ever since you left in
that's
'96.
true. When I was there, things were fine, and then when I left, it all went to shit.
Um, but on a serious note, Peaches, her best friend Heklina passed away just this year, actually, just this year, and you two were on tour together in
Yep.
the UK at the time.
Yes. I mean, do you want me to tell you the story?
I mean, of course you can. I mean, I don't want you to relive anything that you're not comfortable reliving, obviously.
Well, I mean, you would think that I would get asked about this all the time because it was such a big sort of event. Not just in my life, but like, it was like a newsworthy event. But
Yeah,
I think because death makes people uncomfortable for obvious reasons, people don't really ask me about it. And I don't mind, certainly, you and I talked about it, right when it
yeah.
happened. And I talked to close friends about it. But the truth of the matter is, to this day, we still don't have a death certificate from London. So we don't actually, I can't tell you exactly why she died
That's
because
crazy.
they're still determining that, which seems odd to me and strange. She died in April 3rd, and it's now almost December, right? So that seems crazy. But basically, I was
Where's
doing a
her
show with
body?
her. What's that?
Where's her body?
Oh, she was cremated in London and brought back. So her ashes, her cremains, are here in the States, and they were divvied up amongst different loved ones.
Do you have
Um,
any?
I didn't take any. I was offered them, but I just didn't I don't know. I didn't feel like I needed that, and I felt like it
Yeah.
was kind of like an extra burden. And honestly, I have so many amazing um, things that remind me of Heklina, costumes and artwork and
Hmm.
show posters and photos and videos that I don't know, it kind of creeped me out a little bit. What would
I
you
can see
like?
that.
Let's say you found Monet dead. Um,
Fingers crossed. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Too
yeah,
soon.
would you want her cremains?
No, I don't know that. I don't know that I would want her cremains. But I would definitely want to. I do feel like I should have first dibs at all of her costumes. I honestly, in my heart of hearts, feels like I should, like, legally have first dibs at any of her costumes that I want to keep as keepsakes.
Would
Right?
you say that would really up your wardrobe?
You know, if I'm being fully honest, me and Monet are not quite the same size anymore. She has gotten quite skinny. So it would just be for memory's sake. But any
Right.
of her stuff back when she was thick, yes, I would take those things. Anything she wore on Drag Race, I could fit, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
post Drag Race, she is a whole new woman, honey. I'm working it out. I'm trying myself. I'm trying here.
I mean, okay. Can we just? I know that you're talking to me and asking me questions, but I just want to say to you and to the listeners, as someone who's loved you for a long, long time, it brings me in such a rocky year that I've had. Speaking of Heklina's death, it's
Yeah.
been such a year of ups and downs, but it brings me so much fucking joy to see you on tour with Madonna. It's surreal. I'm still not used to it. It's so wild. And like, where are you now and how's it going?
I'm in Milan right now, which is a show.
Ooh.
We haven't done the show yet, but I've been looking forward to the show because Italians go crazy for Madonna. They love Madonna, Madonna. So I'm told this is going to be our craziest show yet, which I'm very excited about. I'm excited to see the fashion here in Milan. I would say when I walked the streets of Paris, I was like, wow, these people really look like like fashion, like everyone. They all look
Yeah.
like fashion students and like some sort of a upper crust people, just a normal people walking the streets. And you're coming to see us at the Chase Arena, right?
Yes. Yep. Have our
Yes.
tickets and everything.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh, this is gonna be, and I'm gonna talk to you backstage before the show. I cannot wait for you to see this show. I'm so proud of it, and yeah, I'm really proud of this show. Really
It
proud of it.
looks okay. So I've been kind of like not wanting to look at clips because of spoilers, and I know that I'm going to go see the show. But of course, there are things that come across my feed where I see you out there with Madonna, who is so teeny tiny, and then standing next to you. It's kind of hilarious.
No,
Um,
she is this big, especially. I mean, spoiler alert. At the end of the show, I'm wearing at the top and the end of the show, I'm wearing her famous Marie Antoinette outfit, which by the way, Glenn Close wore before she did.
Wait,
That's
but you're not wearing the actual one.
Peaches. Come on, of course not. Actually, fun fact: that dress is like they don't know where it is. It got sold at a private auction, so no one knows where it is
Oh.
anymore. And they tried to get it back. They tried to get it back for this tour to look at, but
Uh-huh.
the guy could not be contacted. What's up, Jacob?
Can you tell Peaches about the cone bra for the Pride show? Because that was wild.
Oh, so
Yeah.
and by the way, we will get back to Heklina and pay our respects to her. But as you see, Peaches and I both go on tangents. So when we did the Pride show, I had an original Gautier bra that I was using as a prop. And they were like, just put it in your suitcase. But don't leave my like I had a suitcase prop too. But they were like, but don't leave your props here overnight. So I had an original Gautier bra in my hotel room, just sitting there
Wait, the one that he designed for her.
with the tag in it still.
So why did you have it? I mean,
I
obviously
was
that.
using it as a prop during the thing. I opened the
Oh.
suitcase and I pulled out like a bouquet of flowers. I pulled out a veil. I pulled out the cone bra. I pulled out a banana. Things that like have signify an eye patch. Things that signify Madonna from throughout the years. And I
Right, right.
pulled out the. I don't know if it was the original, but it was one of the original cone bras. Like it was older than me.
That's something I actually have seen in a museum, because here they did it all over the place, but there was a Gautier exhibit, and at the end there was a whole section on Madonna, and they had different comb bras and things that he had designed. So like you were kind of, it's almost like you were carrying the holy grail of gay artifacts in your bag.
Honestly. And I met Gautier because Gautier was our guest in France, in Paris. He was a guest on stage, and honestly, he was it was just amazing. And I'm not even kidding. I think that Gautier may have done his best work on this tour. If you look at the outfit that Madonna's wearing for Vogue, she wears I think she has like 3 or 4 that she's done now. They keep rolling out. These outfits that she's wearing for Vogue are I legit when you get up close, there isn't when you see like true like haute couture, like when you see
Yeah,
true like when you get this close to it, you're like, oh, this is literally on a different level.
yeah.
This is like I've literally never seen clothes like this before. It really is that crazy.
Well, Bob, I have to tell you, truth or dare, like seeing this happen for you, and being, a close friend of yours has been so, it's just been so incredible because, and I'm older than you, so I know that you and I have talked about this a lot, like our pop culture references are different. The thing about Madonna is that she spans so many decades, right? So for me, her doing Like a Prayer, and me growing up Catholic, and her being banned by the Catholic Church and being fired by Pepsi because
3 times.
she kissed a black saint in a music video, and all of that shit was amazing. And then that tour, that Blonde Ambition tour, which of course is documented in Truth or Dare, was the first time my young queer ass ever saw any pop star, any queer icon, anyone of her level, of her stature, come out and say unapologetically that there was nothing wrong with being queer. And not only that, but she put queer sissies of color on stage with her, prancing around at a time when no one was doing that. Nobody was doing that. And she's a hero, to me, especially.
No.
So to get to see you perform alongside her is just, it's just amazing.
You're right. I've been seeing her impact as I travel the world with her, and recognizing some of the truly, and I guess this is gonna end up being the one about Madonna, the truly remarkable thing that she does. There's this old clip of this guy, she's like doing some news or like it was something with MTV, and she walks into a record store, and this random guy just goes, "Hey, you're Madonna," and she's like, "Yeah," and he goes, "I have some nude photos of you." Like I have like your nude photos from when you were like 16. Do you want? Do you want? Do you
Weird.
want? He was like, "Do you want to buy them from me?" And she was like, "No, not really." He goes, "But what if I release them?" And she was like, "Well, then maybe you can make some money, but I'm not gonna buy them. I'm not gonna buy them off you." And then I think like the next year she was like, "If you're gonna threaten to release my nudes, I'm gonna fucking do a whole book. I'm gonna release my own nudes.
Right.
I'm gonna take pictures of my own pussy. I'm gonna put pictures of my pussy and I'm gonna monetize it. I'm gonna sell it, and it's gonna be like it would have been like I think like say like it would have been a New York Times bestseller book. They wouldn't allow it to be sold in New York Times. It was like a whole thing,
Yeah.
and she also was the first person to release a music video on VHS because MTV refused to play the video. They just
Yeah.
would not play it.
Guess who was first in line to buy that VHS tape?
Peaches.
Girl. And I had to hide it from my mother.
I'm screaming. I have 2 copies of Madonna's sex book, and I need to get her to sign it eventually,
Yeah,
but
you do.
I haven't. They're back at home. They're back. Jacob has them in
You know
in
that
his
like
safekeeping.
people like me are going to annoy you for the rest of your life wanting you to talk about this experience.
I'm happy to talk about it. It's I mean it's terribly exciting for me. I'm more than happy to talk about this. So fun fact for you all. So I grew up a wayward drag orphan, so to speak. I didn't have a drag mom. And but I did learn. I want to say out loud that I did learn from 4 specific drag queens who I call my drag aunts or my drag sisters. Peppermint, Sherry Vine, Bianca Del Rio, and Bibi Zahara Benet. I watched these queens in New York City, and just took in everything. I mean I learned a lot about like how to just put on like a kick ass show from Peppermint. I learned how to deliver a joke and truly do a level of like professionalism from Sherry Vine. I learned how to be cutting and biting from Bianca Del Rio. I learned how to be a diva from Bibi Zahara Benet. But neither of them were ever my drag moms. In fact, I'll tell you more about my relationship with these women after this break. Okay, so we're back. But I never asked any of them to be my drag. Although BB nowadays will like say that she's my mom.
What?
But I know. Hear me out, Peaches. Hear me out before you before you
Wow.
go fight her. but Bianca, Sherry, and Peppermint really are my older sisters. They are my drag. I mean, Pepper's not much older than me actually. Bianca and Sherry considerably older.
Yeah.
Considerably older than me. But when I was on tour with Peaches, first time I worked with Peaches Christ was for Return to Grey Gardens with Jinx Monsoon. This is before I was on Drag Race.
In New
How did you
York.
hear about me, by the way?
I heard you on the Feast of Fun podcast
Oh,
way back when. I mean, God,
Feast of Fun.
yeah, it was a long time ago.
Wait, did you ever take my drama with Feast of Fun?
You told me about it. Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever aired it out. I don't know if they know that So when I was preparing for RuPaul's Drag Race, Feast of Fun was doing this show called Cooking with Drag Queens, and they wanted to come to my house and do cooking with drag queens with me, and I was like, sure, but I gotta let you guys know I'm really busy. Like this is like it's crazy. I was preparing for Drag Race. I didn't tell them. I was like, this is the busiest I've ever been in my life. So my home was in shambles, and then they went back to Chicago and told everyone that I was a hoarder. Like several people came up to me and were like, "Oh yeah, Mike and Fausto told me you're a straight up hoarder." And I was like, "Yeah, my apartment was crazy because I made like 23 costumes in 2 weeks while preparing all this stuff and wigs. So yeah, my apartment was crazy, but I didn't think they were going to go back to Chicago and tell everyone I was a hoarder." So I haven't spoken to them since then.
Well, I actually have no clue about that because they never said that you're a hoarder to me. But besides that, I'll always be grateful to them because they were introducing me to all these people. Because they interviewed so many different queer folks. This is before Drag Race, before a lot of the internet had as much queer connection as it does now. And so you were on their show, and I remember listening to you and just being like, this bitch is smart and funny and clever, and I want to work with her. And I basically just reached out to you shortly after that and said, hey, I'm coming to New York with Jinx Monsoon, and are you available to play a Jackie Onassis type in this show? Basically, you played Bob the drag queen, but it's as if you're the Jackie O,
Yeah.
archetype in the show. And of course, you showed up. You were a total pro. And I felt this sort of easy, I don't know, connection to you pretty immediately. Like I knew I would like you, and then I fell in love with you. And then and then the rest is history.
Yeah, we got along like gangbusters pretty much immediately. And yes, you're right. Malcolm and Fausto interviewed a lot of queer people. They're great. Yada yada.
His name
You're
is
so
Mark, not Mike.
no Mark Fillion and Fausto Furnos. Yeah,
Yes,
Mark
yes, Mark.
Fillion. Yeah, and Fausto Furnos. You're right. They are they have done, and because I actually learned about a lot through them as well, including my dear friend Mateo Lane. I found out about Mateo Lane through the Feast of Fun podcast because Mateo's from Chicago, and I reckon they knew each other from because Mike and Fausto are Mark. Why do I keep saying Mike?
I
Mark
don't
and
know.
Fausto are Chicago gay royalty. Yada yada yada. Anyway, that being said, after that, I got pretty much shortly after we worked together, maybe like a year later, I got cast on RuPaul's Drag Race, and then I was the first show I did with you. Was it Hokum Pokum? No.
I don't remember if it was Hokum Pokum first or Legally Black.
Which by the way, Peaches did not want to call it Legally Black. I demanded. Peaches was like, we have to call it Legally Bob, and I was like, no, Peaches, I'm only doing it if we call it Legally Black. And
Yeah,
Peaches was
that's
like,
true.
so Peaches had to go out and be like, just so you guys know, this is Bob's idea.
That's you were right completely, but there were a couple things that you were pushing me to do. Okay, just so the listeners know, when Bob and I were discussing me creating a show for Bob, which is like, there's queens that come along that I'm so inspired
Oh
by
yeah,
that
we should tell them. We should tell them like your main thing in San Francisco for the people who don't know. The Peaches like is most known for two things: Midnight Mass, which is these midnight showings of horror films at the
Castro.
the Castro Theater, and also these parodies of shows. She would do these like write these gay parodies of
Yeah.
shows, and then cast basically queer celebrities in them. Everyone from uh, Bob the Drag Queen, Jinx Monsoon, Mink Stole,
Varlet
have you
Blue
had
Merman,
Margaret
Coco Blue.
Cho,
Yeah.
Steve. I mean, everyone. You've had them all.
Yeah. So I was going to write a show for you, and we were tossing around ideas. And I'll never forget, like, you wanted to,
Yeah,
you
the
wanted
color
to do
blurple.
the color blurple, and I was kind of like, okay, you should do that show. I just don't feel like and I'm genuinely obsessed with the color purple. Like,
Yeah,
I
brilliant.
totally love both the book and the movie, and I actually love the musical. And they're making a movie of the musical.
Mhm.
But I feel like some of the stuff, what I do is tend to take things that are transgressive and underground and kind of make fun of them and warp them and queer them. With the color purple, one, it's not really my story to tell. Two,
Mhm.
it's already queer. It's
True.
about a queer woman. And three, its subject matter is too serious. Like,
Very dark.
it's too dark for me
But
to
it
kind of
is
make a
still like
comedy
it's like
out
a
of it.
black camp classic. Like it is camp.
Yeah,
Like
it is.
it is sad, but it is so camp. And I have a friend who watched Color Purple for the first time and was like, the way that black people talk about it, I thought it was a comedy. Because
Yeah.
black folks are always saying like, "You show is ugly. You told Harpo to beat me," and they were like, "I didn't realize it was It was when my mom watched Rent. She said, "I watched the trailer. The trailer for the Rent movie was singing." They were like, "Who? Hey, oh!" And she's like, "I watched it, and I was like, this is sad. Everyone's dying of
Yeah.
AIDS. This is crazy."
Yeah.
But Peaches very wise. He was like, "Do the Color Purple on your own."
Yes. But then I pitched the idea of doing Legally Bob to you because a bunch of people had asked about Legally Blonde. And I rewatched the movie, and I remember saying to you, that movie is so white. Like, it is
Very.
just so white. What if we did something, kind of transgressive where we retold it, but through a different lens? And then you, of course, said, I insist that we call it Legally Black.
And honestly, it was honestly one of my favorite shows that I've seen. I mean, maybe I'm biased, and I've seen a
Well,
lot of
no,
your
me
shows.
too. I love that show.
So fun.
Yeah.
And by the way, Peaches is here to let you all know because a couple of episodes ago, Kim Chi swears I've never called her and wished her happy birthday or anything,
Oh,
which is
that's
crazy
right.
because I've been at like two of her birthdays in a row back to back, and then one time I literally just of my own volition flew to Portland, Oregon, just to for surprise. I surprised Kim Chi. I only told Peaches. I
Yep.
surprised Kim Chi to watch her and Willem, and who else?
Laganja.
And Laganja do Mean Gays, or what y'all
That's
call it?
right. I can totally vouch for you. You and I were talking a few weeks ago, and you said that I don't remember what you said, but basically that Kim Chi was like acting like you're I don't know selfish or that you haven't done anything to support her or something. And I am the first to say Bob is so sweet and that was really for Kim. You kind of made it clear. You were calling me going like, I'm thinking about flying out there and surprising Kim. And you did it. You flew out to Portland, from wherever. I don't remember where you were coming from, but it
I
was
was in New York City
far.
at the time.
Yeah. And you put yourself up and you came to the show. So Kim really owes you an apology.
Thank you. Thank you. And Monet was just up in her Yas Queen and her, and I was like, y'all is wild. They are like wild for that. But
Yeah.
that aside, so after traveling with Peaches Christ, because we did travel together, me, you, and Jinx. Because
Yep.
if I recall, your circuit used to be you do a weekend run in San Francisco, and then we go
Yep.
to Portland and then Seattle
And then LA. Yeah.
and LA. Yes.
Yeah.
And we were doing a run of Hokum Pokum, which was also very fun. It was me, you, and Jinx.
Yes.
That was a great cast. You've done this show several times with several different with a few different casts.
Yeah, but I rewrite it for whoever's doing it, and you have one of the best numbers of any iteration of Hokum Pokum because we did Curse first.
Curse first,
And
yes,
I love
yes.
that number.
I need to release it for like Black Cat, Black Broom.
Yep, you do for Halloween, girl.
I just remember writing Black Cat,
Yeah.
Black Broom. You fly to the room. Honestly, inspired,
Yeah.
truly inspired. And
It
I
was
did,
great.
and I rapped it live, which was hard which I don't know why I insist on rapping it live because when I wrote first, I didn't consider it because I was lip syncing. You can't. There's no breaks. It goes straight from chorus to verse to chorus to verse to bridge. There's nothing. So I remember being so winded, and I'm up there dressed like Kathy Najimy
Yeah.
in a corset. Which, by the way, you work with a couple of different people. Who are the designers you work with?
Well, at that time, I think that show was done by Amy Sarazan, who's now gone on to be the full-time employee of Trixie Mattel's sweatshop. So, Amy, I lost Amy to Trixie. But at the time, Amy had done Hokum Pokum.
I feel like you've launched a lot of careers for in terms of like, and also one of your light guys works for Obsessed now.
Oh, really?
What's his name? The one who always wears the tiny shorts and he does the lights.
Oh, yes. Ray of Light.
Rhea
Yes.
Light,
Yes.
by the way, I don't care it could be December in Norway. Rhea Light is gonna wear these get it girl shorts.
Yes. Yeah, she's always in like tiny little hot pants.
Hmm. And now she's fucking doing lights for Obsessed, who did me and Monet's tour. So Rhea Light did the lights for Sibling Rivalry. When we
Right?
went on tour
Amazing.
and does the lights for Trixie and Katya and just Trixie just stealing the big blonde hair, the big
Yeah.
makeup.
Yeah.
We need to send a cease and desist. It's getting kind of creepy.
I met Trixie when she was just a little child. She was 18 years old, and we went to Milwaukee to do All About Evil. When I made my movie, I went on this sort of cross country tour with the movie, and so Mink Stoll and me and a bunch of people went to Chicago and Milwaukee. And in Milwaukee, we were working with at the Oriental Theater, I think, and we were working with the Rocky Horror cast, and there was this kid in the cast dressed as this mummy and was in our show. And I remember, like, compared to the rest of the cast, she had the most talent. And so I was like, what's your name? And she said Trixie. And then we became Facebook friends. And I'll send you the picture, but there's this insane picture of she and I backstage, and she's barely wearing any makeup. And I said to her, you need to wear more makeup. And the rest is history. Oh my God.
How does it feel? Okay, I have a question because I'm not quite at your level of queens who are like solidified in their not quite as you because you're really like a woman of a certain age.
Yes, okay. I see.
So, but
You're not quite as old, is what
yeah,
you
but
mean.
I'm not quite as young, and I realized that when I go back to New York City, a lot of folks who were like, "Oh my God, Bob the drag queen," and I go to these bars and I realize like I only know one person who works there now. You know what I
Right.
mean? And like there's all these drag queens I don't know I like don't know any of them. Is there a moment for you when you are like, I have been doing this for like how long have you been doing drag?
Well, since 95. So it'll be 30 years soon, next year.
That's wild. 1, 2 years will be
Isn't
30
it?
years. That is wild. That like your 30-year drag reunion. Like
Yeah.
how does that feel to you? Are you like, yeah, that's pretty par for the course?
I think it feels like, you grow up and you hear old people talk and they always say these things that are like, I don't feel old and I can't believe, life is, wasted on the young and, things, move as quickly as, I don't know, the blink of an eye and all that shit that you hear. But when you're young, you just hear it. And then when you get
Yeah.
my age, you go, oh my God, it's all true. This is so weird. I don't feel this old. I don't feel like I'm turning 50 years old, I mean, I did start doing drag in college, so I was pretty young, so I'm not quite as old as some of the people I get
Jackie
in
V.
a flattering way. I'm lumped together with people like Jackie and Barla, but they're actually about a decade older than I
And will always be, and we'll talk about that when we get back. And that's on period, honey.
am.
No matter what you're buying this season, when you use the secure Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card, you can build your credit score with on-time payments for everyday purchases. Plus, there is no annual fee or credit check when you get started. With Chime checking account, you can get paid up to 2 days earlier. With a qualifying direct deposit, you can get access to your money sooner. Chime also offers fee-free overdraft with SpotMe, overdraft up to $200 without fees with SpotMe, y'all. And when you set up a qualifying direct deposit, it all will work out for your good. Just set up a qualifying direct deposit, sign up for SpotMe, and Chime will spot you up to your limit when you make a purchase that exceeds your balance.
Listen, fees are a thing of the past. Monthly fees are out.
Fees, O'Hara.
Ditch the monthly fees. Chime has no monthly, no minimum balance, no overdraft fees. Chime gives you access to 60,000 plus fee-free ATMs. There's more than the top 3 national banks combined. You can easily find one near you on the Chime app. And with Chime, you can send money and receive money, pay friends through Chime no matter what bank account they use, and cash out your money fee-free. Start building your credit up today. Open a Chime checking account with at least a $200 qualifying direct deposit to get started. Get started at chime.com/rivalry. That's chime.com/rivalry. The Chime Credit Builder Visa Credit Card is issued by Stride Bank N.A. member FDIC. Chime banking account and $200 qualifying direct deposit required to apply. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply. On-time payment history may have a positive impact on your credit score. Late payments may negatively impact your credit score. Results may vary.
You know, there are a few things that bring me joy than giving my kitty fresh, delicious food. And that's why I love Smalls. Like seeing the way little Colleen's blue eyes light up when I pop that Smalls open, it really brings my heart joy. And I love her so much. And that's why y'all gotta try it too. Because if you're still feeding your cat kibble, now is the time to update your cat food with Smalls, y'all. Smalls cat food is protein-packed recipes made with preservative-free ingredients you'd find in your fridge, and it's delivered straight to your door. I feel better, personally, for me, knowing that my cat is not just chewing, chomping on some burnt kibble. Also, I don't have to open nasty cat food that makes my stomach hurt. Like, ew. At this point, you might be wondering, girl, why can't the cat just eat the kibble? Believe it or not, your cute little cat is a descendant of some Mufasas, the Simbas, the Nalas around the world, okay? And those cats like fresh protein, and your cat does too. Other cat brands know this, but yet they still choose to put their wallets first. They want to fill your cat food with mysterious products that your cat should not be eating. And when you see conditions happen, you wonder what had happened. They were eating bad food, girl. After making the switch to Smalls, 70% of cat owners report that their cats had shinier and softer fur, and 90% report overall health improvements. Give your cat the gift of great cat food this holiday season. Head to smalls.com/rivalry and use promo code rivalry at checkout for 50% off your first order plus free shipping. That's the best offer you'll find, but you have to use my code rivalry for 50% off your first order. One last time, that's promo code rivalry for 50% off your first order plus free shipping.
Looking for a way to keep up with what everyone's talking about in the queer community? Okay, listen, then here's a hot tip. All you have to do is make Queerty a part of your daily routine. Queerty is your one stop shop for pop culture and entertainment news. You want to discover the queer pop anthem of the moment? Queerty will keep you in the loop. You need to escape the workday with a behind the scenes tea from your favorite show. Queerty's got you covered on that one too. But the best way to know that the Queerty readers are your people? Well, they voted us best podcast for this year's Queerty Awards, which proves they have excellent taste. Yes, honey, I'm a Queerty Award winner, honey. Reading Queerty literally feels like being at brunch with your friends, except you can do it at home alone on your couch, which is a lot easier. Did you know that Queerty also has a bunch of incredible sister sites, including LGBTQ Nation, covering the news that affects our community? Into, which celebrates diverse perspectives for young queer people, and Gay Cities, a travel guide for finding the best queer hotspots in every single city. And best of all, each of these sites is LGBTQ plus owned and operated. So all of their content is by queer people for queer people. So visit queerty.com and make sure you are never left out of the conversation.
Cold turkey may be great on sandwiches, but there's a better way to break your bad habits, okay? We're not talking about some hypnosis from your crazy neighbor or your friend or some magic crystals. We're talking about our sponsor, Fume, and they look at the problem in a different way. Not everything in a bad habit is wrong. So instead of drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad from your habit?
Listen, Fume is an innovative, award winning flavored air device that does just that. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses delicious flavors. You get it? Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit you're free to enjoy and makes replacing your bad habits easy. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial and is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is very helpful for de stressing and anxiety while breaking your habit.
I have to say, I love, because Fume sent us the products, and I love how it looks and it feels very heavy. Like it's like a nice, perfect balance. And also, I literally, sometimes during the podcast, I'm over here playing with it. Like the magnet part, I don't know what about it. It is a finger fun fidget thing to do. And the entire podcast, I'm usually like unmagnetizing it and like sticking it back together. So I really enjoy that feature. Join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack today. Head to tryfume.com and use code RIVALRY to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com and use code RIVALRY to save an additional 10% off your order today. Head to tryfume.com/rivalry and use code RIVALRY to save an additional 10% off your order today.
So when I think about the queens who are like from this certain era, and but you're all from a kind of a similar era, even though some of you are like literally like RuPaul is about 15 years older than you,
Yeah, yeah,
roughly.
yeah.
But you're kind of from a similar era, which is funny
Yeah.
because even though I'm 37, you're four. How old are you? 48.
49. I'll be 50 in a few weeks in January.
So I'm about 10, roughly like 10, 12 years younger than you, but we have like an overlap. But because you're a little bit older, you and like RuPaul and Jackie Beat have this overlap. Oh my God,
Yeah.
you're the Gen X. No, yeah, you're a Gen Xer, right?
Yeah, so I'm a younger Gen Xer. So Jackie Varlo. I mean, I'm definitely Gen X, but culturally and that's the generation I for sure identify with. I grew up grunge, and even drag was grunge. When I started, but I idolized. Especially because I grew up on the East Coast, I idolized. Well, first I was, introduced to drag through Divine, growing up in
Yeah.
Maryland, and Frankenfurter watching the Rocky Horror Picture Show. But then when I was like trying to find drag queens that were doing stuff, I found Jackie Beat, Lady Bunny, Flotilla DeBarge,
Hmm.
Floyd. I don't know if you know who Floyd
Yeah,
is, but
I know
yeah,
Floyd.
Mistress Formica. You
Yeah,
know, they were all the New York
Mona
queens.
Mona Foot.
Mona Foot. Oh my God,
Hmm.
rest in peace.
R.I.P. Mona Foot.
Yeah, we lost Mona Foot to
during
COVID.
COVID. She died
And
of COVID. Yeah.
you know what, Bob? You were there. I idolized those queens so much. And then I've had the pleasure of getting to work with a bunch of them and be friends with a bunch of them. But there's some that I had never met. I'd never really gotten to work with them, or we met in passing. But something really cool happened, and you were there for it, which was the sort of remount that Neil Patrick Harris did of
Mm-hmm.
Wigstock in New
Yep.
York with Bunny. And that was amazing because everyone was there. You know, all of those people. Lip Synca was there. You know.
Yeah, that was iconic. Can I
Yeah.
tell us can I tell a story? So
Yeah.
at Wigstock, some of the earlier girls had gone over, Jackie Beat. Some of the earlier girls had gone over. So the girls who were later in the show, their time was getting significantly shortened. And
Right.
they kept coming back to Heklina, rest in peace, and Peaches Christ, and being like, we're pushing you back. We're
Yeah.
shortening your time. We're pushing you back. We're shortening your time. We're pushing you back. We're shortening your time. They even cut the mic off on Amanda Lepore. Amanda Lepore's in the middle of her song. You can find the video. She gets so mad she just throws the mic in the air and it just lands behind her.
Right.
And they end up cutting completely this legend in New York City. Her name is Princess Deandra. She is an absolute. I mean this. She is truly,
Legendary.
truly like when you think of a drag queen, it's her. This is who you're talking about.
Well,
You know
like
what I mean?
flawless old school, and I mean that in the best way,
Yes.
but like flawless old school drag. Incredible.
She also is quicker as just the quickest wit. She had she worked at Lucky Chang's, and so many of the saying that we said at Lucky Chang's are all stuff from her. She would always say, What can I get you all to drink today? And don't ask for nothing hot, don't ask for nothing, no, nothing hot, nothing cold, and don't ask for no goddamn mojitos." That was like an official saying at Lucky Chang's. Nothing hot, nothing cold, and don't ask for no goddamn mojito. And she would always, whenever she wanted to get paid, she go, I need my shekels. Run me my shekels and vittles. My shekels, my vittles. Um, she really coined that phrase. But anyway, they cut her.
Were you there for the showdown around all that?
Baby, was I there? So they told her that she wasn't gonna get to go on. She is over it. She's had it. And she's calling them everything but a child of God.
Yeah.
Left, right, and to her defense, fair. She'd been there. She'd given her whole day to this.
Yeah.
She'd given her whole day to this. But then when they get down, once they what's that queen's name from P Town? The really messy one who's her whole thing is being messy.
Liza?
No, she's like she always has her back's busting out.
Oh, Dina Martina.
Dina Martina. Dina Martina goes on and does a bit that's like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
She goes, "Some say love, it is the road." That's like the whole bit.
Yeah, and then she
Uh,
goes, "Thank you," and walks
Thank
off.
you. And then Princess Deandra goes, "They cut me, but they let this go on." And she points to Dina Martina, who, by the
Yeah.
way, is Dina Martina does skag drag. It is intentionally
Yeah.
skag drag. It is booga drag. It
Yeah.
is just like it's intentionally ugly drag. So
Yeah.
you have this like flawless diva being like, they cut me for this, and if it was The Office, the camera would pan over, and Dina Martina would be like, and y'all just Google Dina Martina, put a picture of Dina Martina up on the screen, and you will
Yeah.
get an idea of why it is just such a hilarious visual
And
to
Dina Martina
see.
obviously is completely in on the joke because, you know, the whole character is ridiculous by design. But the thing is that character and what Dina does in many ways is, as bizarre as it sounds, it is elevated drag. It
For
is,
sure.
she's operating on a totally different level, you know, and plays to really brilliant, smart audiences. But I love the idea of Deandra not really being familiar with Dina Martina and just looking over and seeing that come off the stage, you know.
Be like, what the fuck is this? So
Oh,
I've been trying to say this for a while. So when we were on tour together, this was on the Hokum Pokum tour, and I love me and Monet both. One of our favorite pastimes is getting Jinx Monsoon riled up. It's so easy. It is so easy. So we shared a dressing room in not Fire Island, in P Town for a
Yeah.
summer. Me, Peaches, and Jinx, and what was that buff good country singer's name?
Um. Oh my God,
Steve
it'll come
Grand.
to me in a minute. Steve
Steve
Grant,
Grand. Yeah, he's this like buff country
very
singer.
sexy.
Yeah, and we were sharing this room with him, and Peaches was actually in like another room. So me
Yeah.
and Jinx were never in the room at the same time unless we were like crossing over. And like this one, Jinx was like not doing well. She was like she was probably a little too much. Do you remember one time Volagine Merman said, Volagine Merman, she goes, well, I figured out the problem. I just don't drink anymore. And then she goes, this time would be easier because I don't drink anymore. And then someone goes, well, you had a drink during the show. She goes, yeah,
Yeah.
well, if someone buys me a drink, I'm gonna have the drink. And you also
Yes.
had a drink before the show. Well, I have to have a pre-show drink, so I do drink once before each show. And
Yeah.
you're drinking right now. Well, I drink after the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it
Well,
went from I don't drink anymore.
that's because Varla, much like Bianca, is from New Orleans, and so their concept of drinking is so different than any other person's. If you're from New Orleans, your idea of what it means to be drinking is different than the average person's.
That tickled me. So Jinx was not in a good mood, and like sometimes even just the fact that we were just laughing, she would get so, if we were just laughing, she would just get so irritated. So one day I was doing 3 shows a week, while Jinx was doing like 5. She was doing like 2 with Peaches and 3 individual shows by herself. So
Yeah.
she had like a Monday through Friday schedule basically, but it was probably like Saturday, Sunday, who knows, 5 shows a week. I was just doing 3, so my shows were all selling out. We were in the same theaters. It was at the art house. It's this dual. It's like an old movie theater. It has 2 theaters in it, and they're both going on at the same time actually, or it's like slightly staggered.
Yeah.
And my shows were always sold out because I was doing barely any. I was doing 3 shows a week, so they were all sold out. But then so they were like, if the rule in P Town is if your show is not like 95% sold, you have to go paper, which means you hit the block
They
and you
call it
hand out
barking.
flyers.
It's so
You bark.
offensive. Yeah.
You go out there and you bark, and you have to fucking you see drag queens, burlesquers, strippers, uh, singers, comedians, all on the avenue, handing out, barking, trying to get you to come to their show. Um, Lady Bunny famously will not bark. She will hire someone to bark for her, but she will not bark on her own. Um, and then I never had to bark, but one day I was like, I'm gonna go bark. I sold like 95%. I want 100% sold. So I went on the avenue, and I'm handing out flyers, and I got in front of Jinx, and I told everyone, I said, hey guys, today's my last show. I'm quitting drag today. This is literally my last show. And everyone goes, well, you're going to quit drag? Yeah, I'm actually going to law school. I got accepted into law school, and I'm quitting drag, so I'm not doing drag anymore. So guys, if you want to see my last ever show, please come. So by the time they're getting to Jinx, Jinx like, come to my show, and they're like, I would, but this is Bob's last show.
Yep.
They all keep saying, Jinx, I would come, but this is literally Bob's like last show. She's doing her show, The Ginger Snaps. I always remember the show she was doing. And then she's so furious. And then I did my
You
entire
yelled
show.
at us, remember?
Oh yeah, do I remember? Yeah, because we were in the dressing room laughing because we thought it was funny.
Somehow I got like roped into it thanks to you, because you and I were kind of cackling about everything, and like I got in trouble, like guilt by association.
Well, me, you, and Kenny, we were all laughing about it. And I think it was by the way, I just want to point out to everyone that Jinx's show was still sold out. Jinx,
Yeah.
it was not an empty crowd. Jinx was doing perfect. I did not hurt her business. I mean, each room holds like 100 people, maybe at the max. Um, and then she got mad at us. We kept laughing. I was telling the story because I don't think Peaches was there when I was telling Peaches the story, and then we were just cackling about it. And Jinx was like, "Well, you think it's so fucking funny?" And we were like, "Whoop!" And then she got so mad because her show goes on before mine. And I think she must have said this or heard this, but after my show at the very end, I was like, the crowd, I got like a standing ovation. I was like, honestly, you guys are such a great crowd. I can't quit. I'm coming out of retirement. I said, you know what? You guys are such a great crowd. I'm going to come back and do it again tomorrow.
Yes, she was really, really over you. Like not in a joking way. She
No, she was
yelled.
not joking.
Yeah, she
She
yelled
was
at you. She yelled at me. Oh Lord.
So we continued harassing Jinx when we did the Hokum Pokum tour, and this is
Yeah.
what really got Jinx crazy because I kept being like, "Jinx, who's your drag mom?" And Jinx was like, "I don't have a drag mom. I mean, Peaches is kind of my mom, but I don't really have a drag mom." And I said, and then, so I went to Peaches and I said, "Oh, you're Jinx's drag mom?" And Peaches said, "Well, she's never formally asked me."
Uh-huh.
And I said, "Well," and so I kept egging. I said, "Well, Jinx, you're not her drag daughter. Like you have to ask. That's how everyone knows. Everyone knows how drag works. You have to ask someone to be your drag mom. So if anything, you're kind of just like a weird kid in the neighborhood who won't leave the house. Like you're not really her drag daughter. You're kind of like just like an annoying kid in the neighborhood." And Jinx kept being like, "I'm her drag daughter." And then I asked Jinx to be my drag mom. And then Jinx said, and then Peaches, I asked Peaches to be my drag mom. Also because
Yeah.
I truly because I admire your work and what you and the way you were able to just create these. You're a true workhorse. So then I was telling Jinx, I was like, well, actually, Peaches is my drag.
Yeah.
And then Peaches would come out and be like, it is true. Bob is my drag daughter.
Oh my God. Yeah, but
And
that's
then
not what put it over the top was when you declared it on Twitter and pointed out that Jinx was not officially my drag daughter.
what a troll. What a troll. But then she did officially put in
Yes.
an offer
Yes, yes.
to be your
Yeah.
yes, Jacob. You're muted, baby. You're
Yeah,
muted, baby.
Peaches, were you present for the Provincetown bike incident?
Yes. Yes, that was with my friend Darren Stein. I was actually very involved in all of that because I had asked Bob if we could borrow if we could borrow Bob's bike while Bob was I guess away briefly, like Bob left Provincetown to go do
I
another
was just
gig.
there Tuesday. I was just there Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and I would come
Ah,
back every Tuesday, every Monday night, and I would leave every Friday morning.
okay. So
Yeah.
so basically Darren Stein, the writer and director of the movie Jawbreaker, amongst other movies, is a dear friend of mine. He also produced my film All About Evil. And Darren was visiting me in Provincetown, and Bob was leaving, and so I said, "Oh, could Darren use your bike while you're gone?" And Bob said yes, and so Darren and Bob also picked up on the fact that Darren. Do you remember that? Like you, this is so fucked up. You were walking with Darren on Commercial Street during Carnival, which is like this crazy parade, and you would like hold his hand, and if he like sort of pulled his hand away, you would do this thing where you kind of sort of snap and look at him and be like, "Are you embarrassed to hold my hand in public? What's wrong with you? You don't want to hold my hand?" Do you remember that?
Yes.
You are a terror. And then Darren did break your bike, and I guess he didn't really tell us that he broke it. And then you came back, and the showdown between you and Darren, really just you confronting him, was one for the history books.
Well, again, all these stories make me sound crazy, which I'm not saying I'm not crazy. But what happened was Darren borrowed my bike, and in borrowing the bike, he broke my bike, broke the seat. By the way, I'm renting this bike. This is not my actual bike. This is a bike that I'm renting from this bike shop in town. I rented it for the whole summer, and when I got back, my seat was like fucked up. I couldn't even sit on it. It was like wobbly, and then it would like fall over and fall off. I was like, oh my god, my seat is broken. And then I text Darren. I was like, Darren, did you break my bike? Did you break the seat of my bike? And he was like, he was not responding. And I was like, tell me, did you break my bike? Like, I'm at the bike and it's broken. Did you do this? And he would not respond. So then I found out that he was at Jinx and Kenny's place watching a movie. So I am like riding my bike furiously trying to find this place. It is raining. I can't even sit on the bike. The bike is broken. If I sit on it, it's gonna right up the old bibbly bobbly. So I am in the rain, pedaling, trying to get this bike, and I walk into the house, and I was like, and I remember they were all eating ice cream, or you guys like eating ice cream or
We were
something.
watching a movie.
You watching a movie and eating ice cream, and I remember I was like, Darren, did you break my bike? Like, did you break my bike and just put it back without saying anything? And he was like, I was like, did you? Because my bike is
Yeah.
broken. And you did not say anything. It's like, so you knew my bike was broken and you did not say, you just put it back. Were you ever going to tell me? And I don't think he ever said a word. I think he just was just kind of just standing there.
It was like, when someone, it was as if Bob marched into that house. All of us were like, kind of like, because it was, this, like the door, flew open, and
Lightning
then
crashes.
yeah, lightning's crashing, Bob's covered in like rain and, grime and grit. And, the wind is howling outside. And poor Darren like stands up and is cowering, and Bob is like, did you break my bike? And as Bob is reading her, Darren is being read so hard that the clothes just fly off his body. And he's just standing there naked, shivering, cowering. And Bob's just going at it. And finally, Darren just flew through the wall and was like laying on the lawn outside.
And then I finished the movie in his place and finished his chunky monkey ice cream. I think me and Darren are cool. Now I saw him somewhere recently. Wasn't it somewhere with you or maybe somewhere? No, at Bianca's maybe.
I feel like we did, and I will say this: I don't bring up the bike incident to Darren. I think it gives him PTSD. I think I brought it up once, and I could tell that it wasn't something he's still not ready to joke about it.
But he was probably like, Bob confront. And you know what? I have been called confrontational by many people, but in my defense, he broke my bike, and I think I ended up paying for it or fixing it or something. I don't remember. Maybe he offered. I can't remember. But I was so annoyed that my
Yeah.
bike was broken. I was like, this is so upsetting and so fucking annoying.
Do you
But
remember there was something else I just popped into my head in P-Town when you and I, and maybe it was Luis? I don't remember, but we were going to like a beach and we got caught in this sort of like tidal pool that came up around us. And we
I
had
don't
to
think I was in
carry
that
our
one.
stuff over our heads.
I wasn't there for that one. That was because Luis was hanging out with you all because I didn't go to the bog or walk through the
Bob, I have
swamp.
a video of you.
I was there for this one.
Yes, I have a video. I'm going to send it to you. I have a video that I took of you like trying to get through this marsh.
Oh
You
no,
don't remember
yes, I know. I remember going through. I remember going through the marsh. That I remember vividly.
that? Okay, yeah, it was like a crazy adventure, all because we were heading to the beach where there were, I guess, naked people.
Yeah, the naked beach. Yeah, I remember going to the naked beach one time. And do you remember? I might be doing too much here. I think I'm doing too much here. Do you
Uh-oh.
remember Trixie's friend?
Which one?
That guy. Trixie was. I probably shouldn't be saying this.
Was it when I was living with Trixie?
Maybe I'll tell the story and then we'll decide if I should keep it in. So we got there, and Trixie was like, "Oh, this is my friend," and I was like, "Oh, okay. How do you guys know each other?" And she's like, "We went to college together." And I was like, "You guys went to college together?" Because he was older than her. I was like, "You guys went to college together?" And she was like,
Uh-huh.
"Yep." And I was like, "Oh, okay, sure." And then I asked him, I was like, "What do you do for a living?" He was like, "I'm a lawyer." I was like, "You're a lawyer? You went to the University of Wisconsin? Do they have a law program?" And he was like, "Yeah, yep. I'm a lawyer, and I went to school with Trixie." And I was like, "Okay." It just, you know what? Sure, I don't go to that school. Maybe they did. So I just kind of like let it go. We kind of beep beep boop. Then we all decided to go to the beach. And then Trixie left, but her friend was still with us. And we gave him our information. We're like, okay, we'll give you send us your information. Like, give me. I traded numbers with him. I was like, this Trixie's friend. I'll trade numbers with him. And then down the line, I found out that that was not Trixie's friend. That was a guy she met off Grinder, but she was too embarrassed to say it. So she was just like, so she was like, he's my friend. So now there's just this like random guy who ended up being like a drag race fan, like has my number to this day. He's probably listening to this podcast. And I was like, Trixie, why didn't you just say? She was like, I was embarrassed.
Oh my god, I forgot about that until the punchline. Yeah, you know what? It's funny about Trixie, for as outrageous as she is, and she's so hilarious and crazy. She also can be like a little bit shy and conservative, you know.
Yeah, she was like, I was just I was just too embarrassed. One of my favorite P-Town
Yeah.
stories, I was not there for this story, but would you please tell the story of Jackie Beat forcing you to get tickets to her show?
Oh my God, no. I'm going to get in trouble. I'm not telling that story. No. I mean, my favorite story, and I'm completely deflecting. My favorite story, and you're such a bitch, because you know that's going to get me that would get me in trouble. My favorite story related to P-Town and Trixie, or maybe one of my favorite stories of all time, is the story of when Trixie was performing at the post office and the older queen that was doing a show before Trixie's talked a bunch of shit about Trixie and then proceeded to open the curtain. And this venue, the dressing room, is right behind the curtain. So Trixie is sitting there shirtless, putting on her face. Queen is talking about her. She's sitting there going like, God, that kind of sucks that she's talking shit about me. And the queen is saying things like, thank you for spending money on an actual talented queen who's put her time and energy into the business and has earned her, her reputation as a professional drag entertainer. Unlike these drag race girls who go on Drag Race and, become famous overnight, like Trixie Mattel, who apparently just filmed All Stars, which of course, you're not supposed to talk about at all. And Trixie's like fresh return from shooting All Stars. It's not out in the public yet that she had shot the show. So that's like faux pas number one. Then the queen says, hey, you want to see her? She's here. She's just sitting right back here. And the queen pulls back the curtain and Trixie turns and looks and is like watching the audience who are staring back at her, putting on her makeup.
Mortified.
Yeah.
I would be mortified.
You've heard that story though, right?
Yeah, Trixie's told me that story. It's so good. The way Trixie, she was sitting there just like,
Yeah.
hunched over, shirtless, in panties. Like, what the fuck is going? P-Town is such an odd place. There's this old video years ago on Jimmy James's YouTube page of Jackie Beat quitting P-Town in like the middle of the night.
Yeah, she snuck out.
And I think it was on Jimmy James. I cannot find this video anymore. But it's Jackie B being like, I'm done. I'm done. I don't need this. And it was back when she had her waddle before the hip surgery. And just watching Jackie B, like, I just remember being like, P-Town is gonna be, because it was either like Fire Island or P-Town. Fire Island is a much more.
No, it was P-Town. It was that was a legendary thing. And that's why when Jackie Beat went back to P-Town years later, her show was called Never Say Never.
I'm screaming. And is this a show where you may or may not have?
Yeah, that's the show. Okay, one other thing about that venue, the post office, where Trixie was when the queen revealed her.
And it's called the post office because it used to be the actual post office.
Exactly. And it's a teeny tiny venue. I mean, all the venues in P-Town are small. And that venue in particular is a very small one where it's basically one room. It's upstairs. The dressing room is behind the stage. You have to get into the dressing room like before the show, before you starts, or else you're not getting into the dressing room. And once you're in the dressing room, there's no bathroom back there. So there's another great story from years before where Varla Jean Merman and Jimmy James were sharing that space. And Varla was on stage and Jimmy went to get something on a shelf and didn't realize Varla had pissed in a cooler. And Jimmy knocked the cooler over on herself and doused herself in Varla's urine. And then was stuck back there, covered in Varla's piss.
Oh my, that's crazy.
Yeah.
If you don't know, Varla Jean Merman is like, she's like known for singing opera and hitting the high notes. And Jimmy James is known for two things. One, a Marilyn Monroe impersonation that was apparently impeccably flawless. And also you may have heard the song, Everybody Line Up. The show was about to start. And it goes, Sean, John, Calvin, Klein, Donna, Karen's fashion line. That's Jimmy James, the song Fashionista. No, that's disgusting.
That's show business, darling. People think that it's, all glamour and being on tour with Madonna. But the reality of it is some of us have to really get down and dirty and work in the trenches.
One time we were doing maybe like a drag queen Christmas tour or something, but me and Naomi were on tour together, and Naomi was like sick to the point where she couldn't swallow. You ever like had your throat was so you couldn't swallow,
Yeah.
so she just could not swallow, or just hurt. She had a sore throat and it hurt to swallow. So she was like spitting into this Starburst bag.
Ugh.
Like she kept spitting into this bag just over and over and over again because she couldn't swallow and she was carrying it around. And then I was like, "Oh, girl, let me have some candy." I said, "Oh, let me have some of these." And I grab the bag and it just oozes. I mean, sinus infected, just
Ugh.
like all over my hand. And
Ugh.
she was mortified. But I was like, "Girl, don't worry. I got you." I took it. I threw it away. I washed my hands. I cleaned the area. I said, "Baby, feel better, baby." She was
At what
mortified.
point did you realize what it was?
It was when I look back at her and her like hand was to her mouth and her eyes were wide and she was like, and I was like, "Oh, wow. Wow,
That's
Nene.
hilarious.
We should one day do a screening of one of your films on the Patreon. Or
I would
one of the
love
live,
that.
or even one of the live shows.
Oh
Maybe
my God. You know what movie we should do, Bob?
what movie?
I don't even know if you know about this one. I have a Truth or Dare parody film.
I did not know about this. You mean
Yes.
Madonna through there?
Yes. I made it years ago. It's called Spin the Bottle. And it's a parody of Truth or Dare. I wonder if
Okay.
you would, I don't know. I don't know how, I'll send it to you and you let me know what you think.
Work. We know we recreated the Truth or Dare spin the bottle scene. It was me and a bunch of other celebrities, and I didn't even know what's happening. Madonna just kind of like
Was that the
surprised me.
thing with Amy Schumer?
That was the thing with Amy Schumer. Yes,
Awkward.
Amy Schumer. She was there. That is true. She was right there, actually, right there next to me. She was across from me, actually. But also we could probably show them to Bring It On Queen.
Yeah, let's do it.
You have versions of all your
I do, yes.
shows.
I love that show. That's one that we did with Monet. That was the
Yeah.
first time I ever worked with Monet was for Bring It On Queen, which was,
That was a really good show. We
it's a
did some great
really,
shows
really
together.
fun show, yeah.
Would you ever do that Little Shop parody that I wrote and sent to you years ago?
Yes, I think we should. I would love to co-write a show with you. I think that
I
would
would
be
love
like,
that.
let's do Little Shop. The reason I'm reluctant to do parodies of musicals is because it gets tricky legally. It's harder
Yeah.
to make them true parodies because you're using the music and
I
you're
see that.
parodying the
That
music.
makes
Whereas
sense.
for my shows, I'm parodying a movie
With Jacob,
and
my
I'm
frozen
using
or
a
she
bunch
frozen?
of different pop music that we're
That's true.
lip syncing or singing, But when you do a musical, it's a little tougher.
Well, Peach, thank you so much. Is there anything that you want to let us know? How are things going with your endeavors? Where can people find you? What's going on with Peach's Christ right now?
Well, I'm actually getting ready to. I just finished writing the script for our show at the Royal Albert Hall in London, which is insane that I do a show at the Royal Albert Hall with conductor Edwin Outwater. It's the same show that you've done with us in San Francisco, but we're doing it in London on December 12th. I don't know when this comes out, but is it before then?
Yes, it is. It comes out next week, next Wednesday. Not
Oh,
this
perfect.
Wednesday, next Wednesday.
Perfect. So if you're in London and you can join us, it's with myself, Le Gâteau Chocolat, Bag of Chips, Carrie Ellis, Emma Lapwood. It's going to be fantastic. And then we do the San Francisco version of the show with your drag auntie, Bianca Del Rio, and with controversial trans superstar Dylan Mulvaney. Although I don't think I don't find her controversial.
I thought you were gonna say someone else. I was like, oh God. When you said controversial, I was like, oh God.
No, I want you to say their name.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Sharon Needles. I was like, what?
No.
I was like, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I guess I don't even want to say because Dylan Mulvaney is not controversial. That's the thing. That's what's so ridiculous about it all. These idiots.
She sparks controversy.
Yes. Anyway, so Bianca, Dylan, and I do, and Edwin, and a bunch of other people, Sister Roma, Kylie Minono, we do our San Francisco Symphony show on December 15th. So those are the
Sure.
things I have coming up.
So yeah, go check peacheschrist.com.
Yes, actually, that's where you want to find me, peacheschrist.com.
Yeah, we're going back to websites. No one's doing social media anymore. We're all going back to websites now. It's
I
so
know,
old
it's
school.
interesting. I'm actually getting mine overhauled yet again. I do find, you know what I use a lot is Linktree. Because if you go to
Linktree
my
is great.
Linktree, the Linktree will have the direct link to like, Royal Albert Hall, San Francisco Symphony, just everything is
Yeah.
there.
Also, you all doing the show with you is how I ended up kind of I think it might be a part of how I got on the show Tales of the City.
Oh, really? Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
Because when I wrote a poem called Sandra Claus, which I
Yes.
performed, and I also did a little bit of conducting.
Yeah.
Conducting. And Armistead Maupin was there, and Armistead Maupin wrote Tales of the City. And then, like less than a year later, I was cast in the Netflix reboot of Tales of the City with Olympia Dukakis, Laura Linney, and Elliot Page, and
And
Fortune Feimster. Yeah,
And I will say there's a lot. I will say this: I have more drag children than just you and Jinx, but of course you and Jinx are the most famous, and both of you have made me so proud over the years. And one thing I want to say to you is, you are so good on camera. Like you
well,
are
thank you.
so good and on stage. I mean, and do everyone thinks of you as comedy, but I got to see you in Angels in America, and like you're just so talented, Bob, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm so excited for your adventures. And I know that I tease you a lot, but I just wanted to say how much I love you.
I love you too. You're very sweet, and you have honestly extended a very generous hand to me when very, very, very few people knew who I was, which I greatly appreciate. I think that your show might be the first big crowd I ever performed for in drag. I think your show at that college we did was
Baruch,
was the first big show I like theater show I'd ever done in full drag. So thank you for that.
of
And
course.
I know I've told a lot of stories about me teasing people, but I'm really not that bad of a person. I swear. And the more I tell all my stories, I'm like, am I the drama? Am I the drama? All right, Peach. Thank you so much for joining me today. I love you so much. Thank you for being. You've always been very sweet to me. You've always been kind to me, even when very few people knew who I was. So thank you so much.
Thank you, darling. Love you.
Love you too.